Is it robot today?
Robot,
Yes.
yes.
I hope so.
Welcome to school reunion.
I am the Doctor, this is my section. Earth is under my protection. Planet of birth is Gallifrey. I've got 2 hearts, your life is saved. Run into the Master Raw, Missy. Come on, Alonzo. Alonzi. I am a Time Lord. No, I'm not rich. 12 bodies a man. Now it's time for a switch. Don't look like that. I'm in great health. You were expecting someone else? Regeneration. Oh, such fun. When I say run, run, run. What's up, my boy? Peace and sanity. Sorry, mustache. Reverse the polarity. Sometimes I'm north, but always a limey, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Jump in the TARDIS, go for a ride. It's bigger on the inside. Exploring all of time and space. Oh, what's that? Exterminate.
Cyberman, a Daleks, maybe.
Would you like a jelly baby? Time's ticking, we'd best go. A new adventure, Geronimo! I am fantastic, so are you. Best come with me, I'm Doctor Who.
Welcome to a brand new episode of D4WH. I am your host. Do you think I might attract attention? I'm Adam O'Sullivan. Joining me as always is my co-host. There's no point being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes. It's Nicchia.
That is always my favourite line from Doctor Who because there is bloody no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
Tom Baker is an adult child, isn't he?
He's lovely. It's so nice to be reviewing this episode, I've got to say.
Today we're looking at Robot and was voted overwhelmingly by our listeners as the next Tom Baker story that they would like us to cover. But before we do that, let's go talk as we always do about Doctor Who in real life or D-Whirl.
Hello. Oh, just saying hello to Rebecca.
Oh, yes, Rebecca is
BekTech.
here as always. We don't always mention her.
Oh, sorry. We'll just cut that out. Edit it out.
Joining us as always is Rebecca.
BekTech.
That was so awkward.
She's so
I
chatty.
don't have anything prepared
Joining
for
me
you.
is always Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Just like self-insert.
Will she never leave?
Joining me as always is Rebecca.
You don't need to introduce me every episode.
We start as we always do with Doctor Who in real life or D-Whirl.
Yay.
Now, we know that David Tennant and Jodie Whittaker are big fans of Children in Need, the charity that gets support from the BBC in the form of a special aired each November. Well, a new album being released November the 1st has them lending their voices. Got It Covered features many UK stars covering some of the most well-known songs. Apparently, each actor selected a song with personal significance to them and worked with a vocal coach and producers and songwriters to get ready.
I listened. Did you listen to Jodie Whittaker's
I did.
Yellow?
Jodie Whittaker does a cover of, a stripped-back version of Coldplay's Yellow in her Sheffield accent.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And then David Tennant, of course, is doing a Proclaimers song.
Yeah, he's doing Sunshine on Leith by the Proclaimers.
Which I don't think I know.
No, I listened to it at the original song and I don't know it.
But there are also a lot of the UK stars who've been in Doctor Who.
I mean, Coldplay is a notoriously difficult
Yeah.
band to cover. So good on her for giving it a try. And she does really well.
I think she does too. I mean, I'd love to sing Fix You, but he gets those high notes.
Yeah.
You know, my range is between middle C and E.
Yeah.
That's it.
Look, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are like, nah, it doesn't sound anything like the original, blah, blah, blah. But I think, good on her for giving it a try. You know?
Yeah, and
it's for charity.
Yeah, and
It's a charity thing.
her voice is lovely.
Yeah, it's really good. She should do more singing. The album was recorded at Abbey Road Studios with an hour-long documentary about the sessions. Will be aired before the Children in Need special on the BBC sometime in November.
Yeah, that's when it usually comes out.
So there are 10 different singers, 10 different actors on this album, and 8 of them have some sort of connection to Doctor Who.
I know, it's and probably
It's
Harry.
like 6 degrees of separation.
Yes. And
Probably Harry Potter as well.
Yeah, well, and of the other 2, both of them have, at least one of them has been asked, would you be the next Doctor? So, yes, being UK stars, they probably get asked that all the time.
Probably.
So the song list is Helena Bonham Carter singing Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell, which is a song I don't know.
It's a beautiful song, hard to sing, so I'd really like to hear it.
Jim Broadbent, who of course was famously from Moulin Rouge.
Yes.
But also played the 11th Doctor in The Curse of Fatal Death.
He did.
He sings Blue Moon by Rodgers and Hart, and I didn't listen to that song.
I love that song. It's just an old song.
Okay, they're all old songs.
No, not all.
No.
So we're just basically basically going to be like, Adam's going to say, I don't know what that song is. And then Nicchia's is like, I love that song.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I've got to find a new word. I not like or love.
Loathe.
Loathe it has a complete opposite meaning.
But it
I'm
sounds very
fond.
similar.
I'm fond of that song.
Olivia Colman from The 11th Hour sings Glory Box by Portishead, which is a song that I love.
I don't know where.
Oh, such a
don't
good
know
song.
either.
I can't wait to hear that.
I'm just waiting for a song that I actually know, because so far I haven't gotten any of them.
There's no, what's that guy? There's no Peter Gabriel songs on here.
No.
Sean Dooley, who obviously was Epso in The Ghost Monument, sings Never Grow Up by Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I do know
Oh,
that.
I do know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? I don't know that song.
Yeah, I know that.
Luke Evans, who was in High Rise, a movie that was directed by Ben Wheatley, who directed 2 Peter Capaldi episodes.
And was in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, the on live action one.
Oh, okay.
I think he
Oh,
was.
was he the Beast?
I thought he was Gaston. I'll have to check it
Oh,
out.
I thought it was
Luke
Beauty.
Evans.
He sings Smile by Charlie Chaplin, which...
Oh, that's a lovely song.
But so I found out, so Charlie Chaplin wrote the music that Smile, so strange.
All right,
Brain.
explain.
In my
it to me.
research last night, don't quote me on this, but basically...
How did you have time to research? I thought you were out singing karaoke all last night.
I did that for a couple of hours, and then when I got home, I did more stuff on the podcast. My life is basically 75% this podcast.
Don't swear.
It's all right. I only got 6 hours sleep last night, so I'm a little bit cranky, but that's okay.
He's got his cranky pants on.
So, yeah, I don't know why they're saying it's Smile by Charlie Chaplin. So, apparently Charlie Chaplin wrote the music called Smile, which was then somebody added lyrics to that.
Okay.
And then that song was covered and obviously made famous by Nat King Cole.
Yes.
Essentially, they're probably going to be doing a version of the Nat King Cole,
I would
unless
think,
it's an instrumental.
well, I would think so. I would think so. But it is a nice. It's got lovely words.
Yeah,
to
it is. It does. Saran Jones, who obviously was Idris or the TARDIS from The Doctor's Wife, singing Symphony by Clean Bandit, which
No, I've never heard of
it's
it.
a newish song by the looks of it. I looked at it last night. I don't know what it is.
No, me either.
Adrian Lester, he was the one who was asked if he would be the new Doctor back when Capaldi was leaving.
Oh.
He sings I Wish by Stevie Wonder.
Oh, that's a nice song.
Yeah, which I recognise as the song that was later used for the Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Yes.
Straight to the Wild Wild West, we're going straight.
Yeah, I know that one. I don't know that song though, but
You'll recognise the first bar when
Stevie Wonder is just an amazing songwriter. Anything by his. I'd love to
fantastic,
do
yeah.
Superstition would be another one that would
Very
be great.
superstitious.
Great to cover.
Hamish Patel, who obviously is the star of Yesterday, the movie. He was also in 2 Doctor Who audio plays.
Oh, wow.
Singing All These Things That I've Done by the Killers. Oh, can't wait to hear that. That would be awesome.
Don't know the song.
Such a good song.
My
Love
daughter
it.
will be upset with me because she loves the Killers, but I don't know that
They're a
song.
great band. David Tennant, as we mentioned, doing Sunshine on Leith by the Proclaimers. The only thing I know about Sunshine on Leith is that it's the name of a movie which is based on a musical, which is like a jukebox musical about the Proclaimers.
Oh, okay.
So in the same way they did
Wow.
We Will Rock You for Queen, because obviously the Proclaimers are huge in Scotland.
Yeah, I know a few of their songs, but not that many. I don't have an album.
I mean, it's actually very interesting. Their history is that they released Sunshine on Leith, the album, and it had one. I will, walk 500 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm on my way on it in 1988, and
jeez, is that how old those songs are?
Yeah. Oh, but it was their second album, so they joined in the middle of the 80s. And I Will Walk 500 Miles only did okay in the UK and pretty good here in Australia until it was re-released in America as the theme song to the Johnny Depp movie Benny and June in 91, and then it became the absolute huge hit that it is today.
And now it's in my head.
Yeah.
I loved it when it came out in '88. I just thought it was a great song, and I've got a version of them doing a cover of King of the Road, and it's just great, especially with their accents and I really like it.
I saw the Proclaimers at the Montreal Jazz Festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was in Montreal. I was travelling around Canada about 15 years ago.
Oh, you've had an exciting
Before I
life.
was born.
Yeah. Beck is 15, by the way.
And a half.
Yeah, and a half.
Yeah, so if you're hoping to get a date with her, you are sick.
And you wonder why she's so upset by our rudeness.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jodie Whittaker doing Yellow by Coldplay, and then all of them will be getting together for a group cover of It Must Be Love by Labi Siffre.
So out of all of those, I only know 2 of the actual songs and then the group one. That's it.
What's the group one? Because I think of the song "It Must Be Love."
Yeah,
love,
by the Madness.
love.
By Madness.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, I only know 2 songs.
Yeah.
So I
So
thought that's
little known fact, I thought that was their song.
Yeah.
That's a cover that they did of this song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So it sounds
a
sounds a bit different.
Yeah, because it wouldn't have the horn section and that sort of
he
stuff.
just sings it on a guitar.
Wow.
I wish they had done a cover of the Madness version, but we'll have to see.
Yeah,
It needs more cowbell.
It does. It does. And
Must
triangle.
be love.
Dong, 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 dong.
Nothing more, nothing.
Needs a lagerphone and a T-chest bass. That's the good old Aussie instrument.
Anyway, our episode today is Robot, Season 12, Serial 1. Written by Terrence Dix and directed by Christopher Barry. Comprising of 4 episodes, originally broadcast on the BBC from December 28th, 1974 to January 18th, 1975. This is the very first episode with Tom Baker.
And I remember watching it. I remember I was so excited. Like, I'd really liked John Pertwee, but I was really excited because he was changing, so the show was going to change. And Sarah was still there because she was really, I think she was probably the reason I stuck with Doctor Who so much. And I just fell in love with him instantly. He was, for me, Matt Smith's first episode, for me, consolidated him as he's going to be my Doctor. Tom Baker's first episode, when he was changing costumes, I was just rolling on the floor laughing. I mean, I was in primary school, but I just thought it was amazing.
And it's good that they went with someone who was completely different to John Pertwee.
Yeah, John Pertwee was the dandy. He was, he was great, but he was very proper. And then Tom was just, well, if you watch any of the docos, Tom was really Tom playing the Doctor, and there wasn't much difference between the 2 of them. Even Tom Baker says that. So
I remember watching it too.
yes, but I saw it when it first
I've
aired.
aged from 15 years old to 55 years old.
Yeah.
Back before either of us were born.
Yeah.
It can't be 55. Well, it must have aired later in Australia a few years after, because there's no way I'm 55.
No, I was just making a joke. Like, I've aged that much. Like,
wow.
I've been from 15 years old to 55.
Oh,
This podcast is taking its toll on both of you, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I've gotten a few extra wrinkles just sitting here.
I'm going to have to regenerate soon.
Oh, well, we don't want
You
that.
probably need
I
it
do.
right now.
Oh, I like this version. I
The
may
fat
not.
version.
I might not like the next one.
We'll start with a short synopsis. Trouble is brewing once again. Top secret plans have been stolen and guards killed. All evidence seems to point to a culprit who is a sentient robot created by a think tank. However, the robot's basic programming should prevent him from killing, providing a contradiction to the clues. At the same time, the Doctor is recovering from his latest regeneration. Can he regain his senses and help units solve the case before time runs out?
Tune in now.
Next time. Same bat time, same Doctor planet.
Can he? Well, let's find out.
Yeah, we will. Following his regeneration, the 4th Doctor briefly becomes delirious and then falls unconscious in front of Sarah Jane Smith and Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart of UNIT.
I love the fact that we know that he steals top secret plans because the word top secret are written on the plan.
Half of the robot's plans, half of the robot's missions are basically stealing a thin envelope. Which his hands are, the design of the robot is amazing.
It's the guy in it, I mean, he did a great job,
Yeah.
because that would have been, and if you watch the doco, it's so hard to walk around in that costume.
He's got these massive arms and then these spindly hands that are always like drooped over because obviously they're too heavy to like raise up.
And he's got those pinches like the robot from Lost in Space, the original Lost in Space.
I love the robot vision too, where it's just all like it's like a fly.
It's good because you don't want to see the robot too quickly. You saw a shadow, you sort of saw, you know, a little bit of that. But I did laugh out loud when he got the plans and held them up and it said top secret.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really
Written
obvious.
in Sharpie too, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
not
yeah.
not printed out or anything.
I think my favourite part from the robot vision was when he was going into the first place and he just like chokes the guy out and the guy's just like,
Yeah.
It's just like he's not even like touching him that much.
Also,
The guy slips his neck into the pinches too, I did
Yeah.
notice.
and as the robot's walking up to him, the guy takes no notice. It's not until it's a meter away that he's like, oh, there's a giant robot in front of me.
But I found that a lot with Unit, that they go, pull back, and somebody, I don't know, some rogue guy goes, no, even though bullets have never worked, I'll stay really close and shoot him.
Oh, the Brigadier is so, like, at one point the Doctor goes, okay, like a guy gets disintegrated in front of him and the Brigadier's like, all right, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Like, a man has died. And then the Doctor's like, all right, bring your men in. And he's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
We're all going to die. Let's go.
Although he does make a comment, which is one day I'd like there to be aliens that aren't immune to bullets.
The Brigadier just seems like, because this is the first time I've actually seen him in character, because I haven't really watched all that many classic episodes. He just seems so nonchalant about it. Like
Yeah.
when the Doctor's regenerating in front of him, it's not as a big of...
Well, he's seen
thing.
it before.
No, because with like regenerations these days, they're all
Oh,
just like
yeah.
theatrical and massive and big, and then it just like sort of runs for 5 seconds
Yeah.
of John Pertwee to Tom
Yeah.
Baker, and the Brigadier's just like, well, that's new.
Well, it happened again.
Yeah.
Some other guy comes in and he's like, well, it happened again. Anyway, what's for lunch?
I love that he's so unflappable, the Brigadier. And then Benton comes in, who's been promoted to warrant officer. He's always been Sergeant Benton.
Yeah.
And he comes in. Oh, who's that? It's the Doctor. Oh, happened again, has it? You know, it's...
Oh, and then Harry Sullivan comes in, who works for Unit, a place that looks into alien things, and is like, well, there's no way a police box, which is currently in the middle of a lab here, could ever be transported somewhere else. I mean, I've seen some crazy shit today, but I'm absolutely certain that a police box, which I remind you, is in the middle of a building right now, could ever be taken out. I don't know how it got in here, but anyway.
Harry's, they really are good at having the thick male companion, aren't they? You know, Mickey, Rory, Harry.
I love when Sarah Jane goes, oh, Harry's a bit old-fashioned.
Oh, yeah.
And the Brigadier goes, I'm old-fashioned too. And she goes, no, you're a swinger. I'm like, sorry, excuse me?
I just learnt more about the Brigadier than I needed to know. It's just interesting how words change.
Remember
meaning.
how you picked out Mikey? But it was the 70s. Isn't that the start of the swinger parties?
No, you're thinking early 70s. So a swinger was someone who was with it, who was groovy. It had a different meaning. And then later on it took on a
all
more
right.
sinister.
Though
No,
with
no.
a few things.
Doctor Who is not suggesting that the Brigadier and his wife swing.
Hey, they later had an episode called The Doctor Dances, so
Well,
they
that's
could very
true.
well be.
Well, maybe later he does swing.
Who's
I
that?
say, Sarah, do a mustache ride.
Oh.
Who's that guy who's under the Brigadier?
Benton?
Yeah.
No, we're not swinging
Maybe
anymore.
in your Classic Who fan fiction, but in my Classic Who fan fiction, I always thought, like watching these episodes, that Sarah and that guy seem to have some
They
chemistry.
seem to flirt together, and
Yeah.
then I realized later on, like, oh, he's a old man.
Well,
Really?
he's not that old.
Well, he's older than Sarah,
Well, he's
who's
older
like in her
than Sarah.
20s.
But there used to be
But
Captain.
he's at least 40.
There used to be Captain Yates. He was in Unit 2 and he disappeared. And he and Joe Grant, the third Doctor's first assistant, they went on some dates. They went on a date, I
No.
think. So there was a bit of flirting there. And then, I don't know, Mike Yates disappeared. I don't know if he did something wrong. I can't remember. He just fell off
That's
the
what they
planet.
want to tell
Yeah.
you.
Maybe he turned evil. I can't remember.
And then the guy, and then Nicholas Courtney just walked around being like, okay, put your keys in this bowl, thank you, and we'll sort this out right now.
Even though, you know, the Doctor's regenerated and he's unconscious, Sarah isn't sitting around pining for him. She's off investigating and, you know, making a living.
Not
and
looking after her friend, by the way.
Writing it. Well,
He could have brain damage.
she knows he hasn't. She's independent.
Did she see the regeneration from...
No.
No, I didn't think so.
No, but she knows about it.
Okay.
So because she's been working around Unit, they've talked about it before, so she knows that he does change. No, he had no one with him. His companions then was Zoe and Jamie, I think. And they were sent home and their memories wiped.
Oh, that's
so
right.
they couldn't
yeah, 'cause
remember.
he got recalled to Earth.
Yeah, and then the Time Lords made him change.
Haven't we all been recalled to Earth?
And the third Doctor, when he regenerated, he had the TARDIS key in his boot, and so did the fourth Doctor.
Okay,
so
right.
I really like that continuity.
Soon the Doctor wakes, eluding Harry by skipping to prove how fit he is, and then tying Harry up in a cupboard.
So the Doctor's into bondage.
Yeah. He hangs him up by his boots.
I like that skipping scene. I was like, they would never write a scene like that today.
Well, it wasn't in the original script. The director added it in. That's what I
was looking at it going, how many takes did they have to do of that?
I know.
Because Harry has to friggin' skip without even seeing the rope.
They just got to get two little girls in pigtails to come in and teach them how to
Yeah,
do it. That's
yeah.
it.
Oh, that's the new Doctor, two little girls in pigtails?
Yeah.
Play with
Come
us.
play with
Come
me,
play
Rose,
with us.
forever
Are
and
you-
ever.
Are you my mommy?
The Doctor then tries to sneak off in his TARDIS, but the Brigadier and Sarah stop him, convincing him to help in finding the culprit in the theft of top secret plans for a disintegrator gun. Okay, let's reveal the spoiler.
Spoilers, sweetie.
There's two big reveals in this episode. The one is obvious from the minute Sarah goes to the think tank. They are the bad guys.
They are the bad guys. Oh, and she gets a little bit of a because she's a
Reporter.
well, no, she's a feminist,
Oh, yeah.
but she assumes
yes.
that the guy is the director. But you can tell that the woman is just evil from the beginning, and he's slimy, the assistant. And then the Kettleworth thing, suddenly their demeanour changes. And
Well,
you go,
okay, so the first reveal is obviously that the think tank are the bad guys.
They are.
Why do they need to steal the plans, the top secret plans? Because they developed the disintegrator gun.
They didn't develop the disintegrator gun.
She says you developed it and then they took it away from you
Yeah.
to build it.
So obviously they didn't have enough of the information to build it or couldn't
They
build it.
came up with the plans.
Yeah, they came up with the plans, but they didn't build it. So someone else had to build it.
No, but they steal the
couldn't.
plans. The first thing the robot does is steal the plans for
Yeah,
it.
that's a bit
They don't
silly.
need to steal the plans because they developed the gun.
Maybe they sent the plans with it and no one remembers them.
This is an issue I have with this episode is that they're trying to set up a whodunit, because I watch the episodes again. When you watch them knowing who the bad people are, you're like, why do they act like that? It's only to set up like, ooh, I don't know who it is. Anyway, we'll talk more about
I
it as we
actually
get
was
through.
surprised by there was a surprise in the story for me.
There was a surprise for me, but when you go back and watch the episodes, knowing that, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
Oh, that's true. Because I kept thinking, why do they need a disintegrator gun? And then I realized they needed it so they could get the codes. But yeah, you're right. So obviously,
Because Sarah goes, you developed the gun, and then they took it away from you to actually build it.
oh, so maybe they sent the plans and they don't have them anymore. Well, someone didn't think about photocopying the plans.
I don't know who would have photocopied the plans because it seems to just be Miss Winters, Angelico.
Yeah.
We never see anybody
No,
else who works there.
We do see one other guy who hits Harry on the head.
Oh yes.
Donk.
we see one scientist later on who offers to take the Doctor back to his car, and one dude. Well, he's an SRS guy. There's about 30 of them, so we know it's a giant group.
Yeah, it's really strange, but it is so noticeable that
Yeah.
there's only two people there.
Yeah.
There was no extras milling around.
There's
in
even a
lab
scene
coats.
where the director of the company and her assistant are both just working on the robot
Yeah.
because there's nobody else to work on it.
It's quite funny.
When I watched it again, I was like, where is everyone?
Well, come on, all of their budget went on extras for unit.
No, but they talk about, the Brigadier talks about, oh, they've got so many new members and they're all members of this SRS. I'm like, where are they?
Well, it could have been a long weekend. A lot of
Maybe.
people went off to
It was a
Brighton.
bank holiday.
It was
you
a
know.
bank
It was
holiday.
bank holiday. Meanwhile, Sarah investigates the National Institute for Advanced Scientific Research, or NIAS, colloquially
Think tank.
known as Think Tank. She gets a tour but is suspicious about an empty lab run by Professor J.P. Kettleworth.
I love
Kettlewell.
Kettlewell.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say Kettleworth?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, this is what I want to know. Why did Kettlewell leave Think Tank if he's still working with Think Tank?
Well, that's the big reveal. You've just given the big spoiler
Yeah,
away.
spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
And I did like that reveal at the end.
I
But
did
when you
too.
watch the episodes knowing that Kettlewell is working with them, it makes no sense why he would leave.
I don't understand either, although he does have a passion for, and you do see that he's not as evil as they are.
Yeah.
And he does have, I really like the fact that he's working with solar energy and
Yeah.
sustainability, climate change. in the 70s.
I think it's funny that Sarah thinks it's a huge joke. She's like, "Oh, you're working on solar, like that'll ever work." And then the doctor kind of talks to him about, "Oh, you should improve this, blah blah blah." And again, Sarah's like, "Oh, solar, am I right? What a nincompoop." She's looking at the Brigadier, being like, "What a whack job this guy is."
Well, no one had heard of climate change in 74, I suppose. So I think he left because Winters is too hard to work for, and he could see that they were a bit sinister. So he believes in the ideal that sciences should rule the world.
But we know that when Sarah goes to visit him, he once again working with Think Tank again.
Yeah.
They say he's the only one who can reprogram the robot, even though we see Miss Winters and Jellicoe tinkering with the robot. Because nobody else is there. They're not doing it for anybody else, which is a scene that is only put in to make us think that they're tinkering with the robot.
Although, would Kettlewell send his robot to kill people? I don't think he would. Does he really know what's going on?
But
he
has to be. They say he's the only one. The doctor goes, he's the only one who could have reprogrammed the robot. He has to physically move around the parts even though it would have been his programming, so that he could go against the Prime Directive. So yes, the doctor says he is the only one who could have told the robot to kill someone.
So he believes in the ideal, but he doesn't want to kill people to get there.
Well, he says that, the means
doesn't justify the end. The doctor says that to him,
But Kettlewell is basically like, oh, my thinking is his thinking is you kill a couple of people and we'll save the planet. But like I said, it doesn't make any sense for some of these scenes with especially with Kettlewell. This is the biggest issue, where nobody else is around. Like, he's not doing it for any reason. It's literally just in the script to make us, the viewer, think that he is okay.
It certainly worked because I didn't see it in there. And I still felt sympathy for him.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I loved his hair. It's just the best hair. And, of course, he's really little. And he and the robot, the guy who was in the robot who's really tall, became really good friends and used to hang around on set together, and they said they looked hilarious with this tiny little and the tallest. But yeah, there are some plot holes in it, some big ones, but I still didn't feel like there was heaps and heaps of filler.
No, look, this is...
It moved pretty quickly, I thought.
It did. Probably the only issues I have with it are the huge plot holes. Yeah, there's hardly any padding. Other than very small things where, like, Benton talks about his promotion, and I'm like... Who cares?
Well, Benton had become a regular character.
Yeah, I kind of got that.
So it's not like he just turned up that day and we'd never seen him. So, and that's why he calls him Mr. Benton, because as a warrant officer, he can be called Mr.
But apparently. I'm wondering if all of the Doctor Who classic episodes should have just been 4 episodes, because it seems like the best format.
Most of them were 4. There weren't as many that I remember that were longer.
There is one filler that we'll talk about when we get to the final episode. But yeah.
What about Tom Baker changing costumes?
Oh, so good. I loved it.
Wasn't it gorgeous?
I wish there was an episode with him as the David Bowie jester.
Oh, and I love it when he looks in the mirror. He goes, "Oh, the nose is an improvement." Don't know about the ears. What do you think of my ears? Harry goes, "Well, you're a busy man."
I like when he's dressed as the jester. He's got makeup on, on the eyes, and I was like, does that mean the Doctor would have applied makeup every time he went out?
Probably.
Oh, that would be fabulous, wouldn't it?
What about the Viking? He comes out. Right, let's go. Brigadier looks at him. Do you think it'll attract attention?
Yeah. Or the King of Hearts or whatever is the thing. And then he just comes out in normal clothes and the Brigadier's like, that'll do, whatever.
I know. The scarf is just fantastic. And I love the story that they just sent all the wool to the lady and she knitted the whole thing. And Elizabeth Sladen said it would have annoyed her, but she said Tom would just let it drag, didn't pick it up or anything, and would just get cranky if it got in his way. But, he just let it be.
Well, he actually uses it in this episode. He uses it to pick up something off the ground. I don't know if that magnet was attached to it or not. He uses it to trip over a guard.
Yeah, he often uses it to trip people. Or
he tries to use it to trip the robot.
Oh, yeah. Well, the robot does do a bit of stumbling every now and then.
Yes, he does.
Those feet are enormous.
It's so top heavy.
Poor thing.
I don't know why it's a robot, so it's all like gears and pulleys and stuff. So I don't know why he's jacked up top like a bodybuilder.
Oh, it's very funny. They said that he at times would fall flat on his face.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, I felt bad for him, and it would have been hot and ugh. Anyway,
in the last episode where it falls over in front of the door, which makes it very awkward for people to get in.
Yeah,
I think that was just him being like, "Oh, thank fuck, I just rest."
Because you couldn't sit in it either.
Yes. I'll just lay here. That's fine. Don't worry.
Leave me here to die.
Oh, it was funny.
Snera sneaks back in.
Snarer.
Sarah sneaks back in and finds the director Hilda Winters and her assistant Arnold Jellicoe are working on Kettleworth's robot, experimental prototype robot K1, as opposed to K9, to be used to perform tasks in hazardous locations in place of humans.
I wondered whether that was something to do with K9, K1.
I don't know.
I don't know. But I mean, K9's dog, K9.
I thought you were going to say
but...
KY there, and I was just like,
Yes,
where are we
yeah.
going?
Yeah.
Well, it does need lubricant. So.
Yeah, well, it does.
They say it has a literal mind, and that reminds me of a story I heard recently about a robot they built to serve in a restaurant, but it had a very literal interpretation. So if you used indirect speech, it wouldn't
Understand what you're talking
you.
about,
So
yeah.
someone would say, "Can I have a glass of water?" And it goes, "Yes, that is permissible."
Yeah.
Can you get me a glass of water? Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
What is your order? You know?
But that kind of reminds me of any of you watch Get Smart?
Yes,
They used to
yeah.
have Jaime.
Yeah.
And he'd say, Jaime, kill the light. And he'd pull out a gun, shoot the light. Oh, Jaime. I liked that he was literal at work.
When Sarah asks if the robot is dangerous, Winters demonstrates the robot's powers to Sarah in a very cruel way.
That is really...
I don't understand why they don't just kill her.
Well,
they killed everybody else.
I know. And then they say, just don't tell anyone. And the next scene, Sarah's going, guess what, everybody?
She doesn't care.
That's quite dark. And I remember being scared as a kid, thinking they were going to kill Sarah because they had just gotten rid of the doctor. And you don't know what's going. I thought, if they get rid of Sarah, this is going to be all
Well,
over
there's
for
multiple
me.
times in these episodes where someone like scares the shit out of someone and then goes, "I'm sorry, it was a little bit of a prank of mine."
Har har.
Yes, no, you threatened to kill them. That is a threat.
It was very, very cruel. But I do like, she says, we won't tell anyone you snuck back in if you don't tell anyone about the robot. Brigadier!
Yeah. Well, at one point, because Sarah Jane shows sympathy for the robot, Winters goes, "You must be the type of girl that gives motor cars pet names."
Oh.
Like everyone does.
Yeah, I know. And it's such a condescending line, isn't it?
What's your car's name?
Scooby.
Ruby, Ruby, Woo.
Well,
And
it's-
mine's Betty
it's-
Blue.
It's a Subaru. Oh, Betty Blue.
Yeah.
So it's Scooby-Doo, Subaru.
Mine's non-existent.
Oh, yeah. Yours is called My Feet.
And then once again, they're worried about the robot returning to Kettlewell because they go, "Oh, we saw it walking
Yeah.
around Kettlewell's house." Again, it doesn't matter because you guys are working with Kettlewell.
Yeah, that is confusing. Is he surprised when it comes out behind the curtain?
Again, he's working with them. He has worked on the robot.
It's funny, when I first watched it, none of that, just didn't
Yeah.
even occur to me. You just take it all at face value.
Well, because the reveal of Kettlewell comes in the third episode, you've forgotten all of that. But I specifically went back
Yeah.
and watched it knowing that
Yeah.
twist. There's moments where Kettlewell is by himself
Yeah.
or with the robot that he has worked on or with the
Yeah.
think tank people that he is working with and acts as if he is not working with them.
But then why does the robot turn up at his door going, oh, my life's hot? He loves the robot, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, the robot is losing its mind, but Kettlewell is the one making it lose its mind because he's making it. He's not giving the instructions, but obviously
Talk about deadbeat dad. That's child abuse, robot abuse.
he would because Winters would have to be the one telling him, "You need to reprogram it so we can tell it to kill people." So he at least knows that it's killing people and that it is losing its mind.
Oh, well, I still enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, but
The storyline's very King Kong, and they even mentioned that in the documentary.
Yeah.
well, not
And a bit-
not at this point.
No.
No.
I haven't really seen King Kong, but is there like a relationship between...
Yeah. She feels sorry, the girl.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, has he got like a scientist sort of person?
Oh,
that
I mean,
isn't
there's the people who
chick?
take him from the islands.
And take
Yeah.
advantage of him, and they're mean, and they want to do
Is there
this.
is there like a Kettlewell sort of equivalent in the King Kong storyline though?
I think there is a good man and his female assistant or girlfriend.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I mean,
now. It's a
there
long
is-
time since
Female
I've seen
assistant.
King
One of the guys that captures King Kong when he sees them. I mean, obviously dealing from the 70s and the 90s, 2000s version.
I saw the Jessica Lange version. I think.
I think that's the 70s version.
Yeah.
Where he captures King Kong, brings him to, America, and then sees them exploiting him.
Oh, that's right.
And goes, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You're going to drive him crazy, blah, blah, blah." Yeah. So, sort of. But he then doesn't turn out to be a bad guy who's trying to destroy the world, you know?
like Kettleworth, who just needs a good comb, brush his hair.
Yeah, I
out.
don't think he intentionally wants to be with what's the group name again?
SRS.
SRS.
Yeah, with the SRS. I think he was just like, he had all the best intentions, but they're kind of just using him, and if he doesn't go along with their plan, then they'll kill him and the robot.
No, I think he thinks that because the SRS, which is a very white group, by the way.
Oh, and is wearing Nazi-type uniforms.
Yes, they might be green, and the way that the S's are written, oh my God.
The Doctor Who's obsessed with Nazis.
Yeah, fascism.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
FF.
Well, I think she's the only girl in the group too, Winters.
No, there's a couple.
others.
There are a couple sitting there,
thank
but yeah,
God, a
she
few
is the
women.
leader. Yeah.
They were taking minutes, were they?
Yeah, but the way she's dressed, you definitely know she's not married.
Oh,
That's what the episode, she's a
not a married
she's
woman.
obviously
she's a top, that's for sure.
she's obviously a spinster.
That's what the episode makes her out to be. Is
I
like
did
this.
tell you that my marriage certificate when I was 21 or something
Fucking hell.
had my
Round about this time this
first
episode
wedding,
came out.
yeah, it had my marital status and my ex-husband's marital status, and his was bachelor, and mine was, and I was 21, 22, spinster.
Oh my God.
Spinster. Can you believe they put like my God, he got her off the shelf, dusted that old thing off in her creaky old uterus.
21.
I'll tell you what, we won't even charge her for taking her.
It's just, I only realised
Just
that
give
the
a
other
family
day.
a couple of sheep.
That's
and
insane.
some cattle.
Yeah, a couple of
You'll be
sheep.
right.
She's a breeder, you can have her.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, I came from the country. No, my dad would never say that. Yes.
So the thing I noticed in this is that the recaps are very long. Like the recap where the Doctor comes into
That's the only padding I found.
Kettlewell's building and fights with the... Like, they could have cut that in half. It is 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
That is 1/12 of the episode.
Yeah, but that was the only padding I saw. I thought these are a lot longer than I remember the recaps being.
When he came over and pushed the Doctor, when he stopped working, and then the Doctor came over and looked at him and then shoved him over, I thought Tom Becker really hit the ground pretty hard.
It sounded like he did and it looked like he did, but I just love it. It's such a Fourth Doctor thing. He pops his hat on him and then he does and we've seen it with David Tennant's Doctor as well, and then he goes, oh wow, you're incredible. He's really, amazed by this thing that's dangerous, and then it comes alive, knocks him over. Because remember the clockwork in Girl in the Fireplace?
Yes.
And David Tennant was obsessed with how beautiful they were. Tom Baker always had that. He was always obsessed
I've
with
only
that.
just noticed that there really isn't that much physical action with the Doctor anymore. You don't see the Doctor doing
fighting.
Fighting with.
Well, in this episode, obviously continuation of the series 3, but he has an army that he commands around. There's a lot of people with guns running around shooting things.
Oh, I'm against guns. Never use guns. Pew, 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 pew.
Mind you, I looked it up, and they are guns from the Second World War. So there was some sort of period drama that they were shooting at the time, and they got all those guns.
I like the fact that no matter what's going on, the Doctor's just sitting in the Jeep, relaxing, feet up, hat down.
That was great.
It's so cool.
Unknown to unit, Winters and Jellicoe have instructed K1 to kill Colonel Sanders. That's what he looks like.
He does look like
Cabinet Minister Joseph Chambers as an enemy of humanity, and to use a completed disintegrator gun to steal papers from his personal safe. It's also mentioned that Think Tank developed the metal that the safe is made out of.
So they developed the gun and the metal.
Yeah.
And obviously they didn't make copies of the plans before they sent them off.
Okay, all right.
Because now I'll tell you
they didn't
why.
have photocopiers.
I'll tell you why. Because what happened was that there was a guy in charge and he just wasn't thinking ahead, and he was a good guy. And then he left, and then Winters came up, and she knew all of this, but she had evil plans. So she said, dickhead didn't get a copy, so I'm just going to get him back. See?
The best episodes of TV are ones that you have to make up excuses for afterwards. That's what I find. Yeah, definitely.
If anything,
Oh, shut up.
all this proves is the necessity of a good personal assistant and hard copies of everything.
I mean, back up your work, people. Back it up.
At the end, when the Doctor's like, oh, he wants me to do reports in triplicate, I was like, What's the issue with that? Oh, he probably would have had to type them all out.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Right.
Okay.
Do you like how fast the doctor types?
Yeah. He types 2 lines and then it's an entire page of text. Like, oh my God.
I love PS and then PPS.
Yeah.
If you've
I
seen
should be able to handle it. PPS, I probably can't handle
If
it.
you see this letter, then I definitely cannot handle this.
Yeah. And I like that because then Sarah charges off to help him.
Yes.
I mean, I know she does a bit of tripping over and stuff here and there, but they are trying to make her much more of an independent feminist woman. Well, their idea of feminism in the 70s, I guess.
I just realised that. You know how when Sarah Jane first goes to the SRS and she's met with, I don't think it was Jellicoe that time. Jellicoe
No.
was the
No,
second
some
time.
other guy, yeah.
And she's
some blonde guy.
Yeah, she's trying to get in, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, do you think you should be dressed like that?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's not a feministic question. Like, feminism's supposed to be like, oh yeah, women can dress whatever way they like. If they want to wear pants, then let them wear pants.
But the SRS is basically like they're smarter than everyone else, so they'll tell people what to wear.
Yes, and girls shouldn't wear pants.
Yeah,
Girls
because
should
That's
wear
the
dresses.
contradiction.
they basically think everyone should wear a suit because he wears a suit. Director Winters wears a suit.
Everyone should dress like a Nazi,
Yeah.
according to the
Well,
SRS.
when he was like, "Oh, we will tell you how to dress and it'll be more appropriate," I'm like, "You are wearing 3 layers of clothing right
Well,
now.
and
Are you serious? That's the way everyone should dress."
The other
I
thing
mean,
is,
I'm wearing 2, so
the other thing is, Winters wears pants. Why can't Sarah wear pants?
That's what
if
I was
they're-
saying.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Well, yeah. Well, she mentions the pants, but I don't think it's the pants he has an
Oh,
issue
you think
with.
it's the headband?
Yeah, it's very obviously the headband because it's kind of obvious that that's why they stuck that on there.
Hippie. Stinking hippie, Sarah.
And she's wearing like a vest sort of thing.
yeah.
I mean, she looks great, but
she looks like she's from a country club or something with that
Yeah.
vest on.
I just think she's so lovely.
yeah. And she also mentions that flat earthers in the 70s.
I
was
know.
like, oh wow!
I know,
There's a resurgence of flat earthers.
Thank you so much. They've been around forever. I didn't realise that. I
Yeah,
thought
as
they
long
were
as
new.
As long as the flat Earth.
Yeah. When did the Earth become flat? I have no idea.
When we got stamped on by
Oh.
a robot.
Oh, damn it. Crushed a daffodil.
Learning of a reform meeting that night, Unit prepares to move out while Sarah, after discovering Kettlewell is also a member, convinces him to go to the meeting to allow her to sneak in. Why does he take her to the meeting? Because he acts, oh, wow, you've got this pamphlet about SRS, a group that I'm a member of and, sort of almost a de facto leader of.
But and he says to him when they come in, it's almost a bit threatening. It's good to see you back, Kettlewell.
But he's working with them.
But maybe he doesn't. That's what gave me the idea that he started working with them. He's sort of trying to distance himself. He's starting to see that they're a bit more radical than he is.
But
he
he
hasn't been to a few meetings, but he invented the robot, so they need him.
He only starts to distance himself, realize how bad they are at this meeting. When Winters goes, no, we're definitely going to kill them.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
again, he knows that they've been killing people because they say he's the only one who can reprogram the robots.
Yeah. So
So he's okay with that.
he thinks that they're not going to blow everybody up. They're just going to blackmail them to let them take over. That's what's wrong with fascists.
The first time you watch it, when he goes, oh, it's so good to see you again so soon, it sounds threatening. But then when you watch it again, I think he's actually saying, oh, hey, you've been at every meeting. Because you're like, oh, actually, he probably has been at every meeting. But it doesn't make sense why he takes Sarah.
Yes.
Unless when they came to...
Unless he wants to...
Before, when they came to his apartment, they made up this convoluted plan of, oh, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to lure the doctor and this journalist in with the whole report of the robot, and then when the doctor gets taken out, the journalist will come after the doctor, and then Kettlewell will be like, oh yeah, I see you're interested in this. How about you come with me? So basically he's kind of hand delivering the other problem that the SRS has, which
Yet
is Sarah.
he's so worried about her. And when Winters says kill, then he goes, well, we don't have to kill her. Can we just lock them up?
He probably isn't completely in the know about what they're planning on doing.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh
He's
yeah,
not as insane
we
as
won't
Winters.
kill you if you bring us the girl.
Maybe.
It's like,
No, but there would be no reason for them to bring the girl because...
Yeah.
Because the Brigadier says, and Winters also says, that it would take too long for them to get permission to raid Think Tank.
Yeah.
So they need proof. And Sarah gets the proof, but then also she gets captured and... it's a bit all
Convoluted
yeah.
storyline.
It's a little problematic, but I still...
It would have been better if
Kettlewell hadn't
the thing
been
is,
working with
and
them.
I know this is if we learn from our mistakes, but if you're going to write a story with a big twist at the end, the whole story has to be written as if there's a twist at the end, like The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
You learn the twist at the end, you go back and watch the movie,
It
and
makes
you're like,
perfect sense.
oh my God, nobody is talking to Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
His wife doesn't respond to him, and you think,
You're
they're just
spoiling it for me.
Yeah, for a movie that's like 20 years old.
Remember, I'm only 15.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I thought you were 55. God, you
But
changed it.
when you
It
learn the
makes
thing at
sense
the end,
when you go back, yeah.
you go back, and this episodes don't make sense
No.
because now you know that he's working with them.
Well, that's true. I don't quite understand Kettlewell's
But I
role in
did
all
like-
of this, but he's not a baddie, but he's not a goodie.
Yeah, I get that. I get that at the end.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that
Wrong
we know
TV
that.
show, Nicchia.
Oh.
It's not a goodie.
Goodies, goody, yum, yum. Sorry.
But we do know that he has been working with them since the start. You know, like if he went back to them, I could kind of understand that. But it hasn't been written that way. But I did like when the doctor's like, "What? You let her go off with Kettlewell?"
Yeah,
and I
and-
was like, "Oh my God, he's the bad guy."
Yeah, and that's the first hint you get.
Yeah.
But yes, there are some plot holes.
Kettlewell has rebuilt K1 with Winters and Jellicoe so as to get the launch codes to force humanity to change its ways, and had feigned K1's attack at his home. K1 discovers Sarah's presence, and Winters ordered K1 to kill her. Kettlewell had never expected to put Sarah in harm and realizes Winter is more vicious than he originally thought.
I don't know why he suddenly realizes it now.
Oh, you want to kill people? Is that why you told me to reprogram the robot to kill people?
But you were only going to kill a couple of people, but now you're going to kill Sarah. She's quite nice. I got to know her. I like her. She does laugh at my solar experiments, but...
Thankfully, the think tank hasn't got a second bunker that they built without anyone knowing.
Yeah.
So UNIT is able to find out exactly where they are.
Well, Harry says that they talk about the bunker. It seemed like a bit of a joke.
And I was like, well, there's no way they're going to find... Oh, they just built the one bunker? All right, then.
So what happened
Thank
between
goodness.
K1 and K9 for it to go from a big, massive robot like that down to a tiny little
Well,
robot
K9's
dog?
from the future.
Yeah, so obviously K2 was a
Yeah,
bit
well,
smaller.
Yeah,
K3.
well, K1 is in K9's past.
So K2 was just a normal-sized man, not a
Yeah,
bodybuilder.
it just goes down
Yeah.
until it's a tiny little robot dog.
K5 was half dog, half human. So.
Oh, God.
Not attractive. We actually put it down because it was so ugly, yeah.
We did, Nicchia and I.
Yeah, Adam and I went, there's no way you're doing that
Nicchia
shit.
held it down and Adam choked it out.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It loved it.
We were actually
That's
trying...
what was wrong with its programming.
Yeah, we were actually trying autoerotic asphyxiation. It didn't work out so well.
Well, Nicchia was trying it.
Speaking of auto, the Doctor is still driving around in Bessie.
I know, I love that. And Bessie is...
Such an impractical car.
Well, but Bessie does have supersonic speed, so you can actually get a new drive. The third Doctor would sometimes, do...
Supersonic speed!
I forget what it's called, but he would...
So the yellow
Make it
car
go quicker.
has made an appearance before. It
Oh,
wasn't-
Bessie's been around for the third Doctor because he was
Yeah, surprisingly, that is not a standard unit car that they
Yeah.
canned
Oh,
out.
it just reminds me of the yellow car from Gatsby.
Oh, yeah, it does. Well, remember he was earthbound for a long time because they wouldn't let him, the Time Lords wouldn't let the Doctor meddle anymore. So he was earthbound. So he had a lab where that was all filmed. That was the Doctor's lab.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Which you never see again. That's the last time you see it. And Bessie had Who as the number plate, and it had all sorts of function. I think it could fly. I think it do quite a few things
As Sarah
that I remember from
As Sarah says
my
when
childhood.
the Doctor tries to leave, she goes, "But you're UNIT's scientific officer. You can't leave them in the lurch." And at the end, he's like, "All right, do you want to go?" She's like, "Yeah, let's just go." The gun that they're using is called the Sterling SMG and has a rate of fire of 550 rounds per minute and a case that holds 34 rounds. So should run out of bullets after 4 seconds.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't. There are a lot of them, and they continuously shoot.
I never realised how bad UNIT were at shooting. They're the worst shots. They're like stormtroopers.
Oh, no, they're hitting it, and I'm assuming that the bullets are being deflected, but they're shooting at it when there are people around it.
Yeah.
Like when Jellicoe is behind it.
Yeah.
And that there's people at the side. Like, just shoot him in the head.
Did you know Jellicoe's actually helping him get down the stairs so he doesn't fall?
Yeah.
Yes,
was
that's
an
so obvious.
interesting thing. But yeah, I mean, just shoot Jellicoe. You could have at least
Yeah.
shot someone.
I wish there was a take where he actually did fall over and you just see him go dim.
Oh, awful. But you do see him stumble once or twice.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and back in the meeting when the doctor comes out, the audience is laughing it up. And
Yeah.
it's like, this guy's burst into your meeting
Yeah, I don't get that.
and they're just yucking it up.
That was the one bit I didn't get.
Yeah.
Why were they not? Why were they all laughing? Did they think it was? I mean, does Winters look like someone who's going to bring on entertainment? You know, for the mad scientist.
And they all obviously know the plan because when Winters goes, we're going to kill them, nobody's like, sorry.
No.
Kettlewell's the only one who's like, oh, what? We're going to kill them.
Well, I thought
Everyone
I was
else is like, yeah, we're going to kill people.
fair enough, dummies.
And the mobile phone that they bring out. Brigadier speaking to this giant phone.
When was that?
When they're in the auditorium. I mean, it happens a couple of times, but it's a giant... It's like a walkie-talkie, basically.
Yeah, it's
It's
how
when
big.
the Brigadier calls him.
I'm pretty sure they were probably about that big in the 70s. You know, they were quite
My
quite
brain's
enormous.
completely just glossed over that. I don't even remember
Oh,
them.
it's when they're out in the field and
Yeah.
he pulls out this great big
Yeah.
thing. I mean, Unit couldn't have even shot it. It was that big and they still couldn't have shot it.
They have all this alien technology and they couldn't have been like, oh, here you go, here's a phone.
Yeah, no. Nope.
Just whips out an iPhone.
That would be good.
Yeah, why doesn't Harry Sullivan leave Think Tank and then call the Brigadier? He's like, I must find a phone and call them from here.
And he uses a payphone?
Why do they have a payphone? I guess
They are really tight at Think Tank. You can't even make a phone call without having to pay
Oh,
for
I
it.
didn't realize it was a payphone. I thought it was just a phone they had sticking on the wall.
No, I thought it was a payphone. Payphones usually have those little hoods.
Did you notice that the doors of the Jeeps, the unit Jeeps, obviously had an emblem scratched off?
Yeah.
And then they stick the unit on because there's bits around where they haven't
know.
repainted the Jeep and it's just obviously been scratched off.
Well, they've been shot at that many times by that many
Sure, yeah,
aliens.
yeah, sure.
I like the helicopter. That was actually the BBC helicopter. They just got a shot of it, some footage of
Oh,
it.
so it wasn't an Action Man helicopter.
And no, not like the Action Man tank.
Yeah.
That rolled very poorly into view.
Look, I will say that for the 70s, the special effects of these first 3 episodes,
Not too bad.
not too bad. Let's talk about the 4th episode when we get there. Winter sends a list of demands to the world government and gives them 30 minutes to comply, then orders Kettlewell to connect to the launch computers and prepare to send the launch codes.
He seems reluctant, but he still does it.
Yeah, he thinks they're going to bluff, which doesn't make sense why he would then set the launch codes on a timer.
300-second timer.
Winters has given them 30 minutes. Nobody knows that there's some sort of timer that they've got on and then they've set the codes to go off. Like, that would be the point where he goes, oh, actually,
I'm not going to do this.
I'm not going to do that.
I know.
But he sets the timer.
He still does it, and I was willing him to not do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going, come on, grow a backbone. She's not that scary. And then I saw her leather boots. Went, yes, she is.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
She's a leather daddy.
Hello.
Oh my god.
Is this where the 4th Doctor's sonic screwdriver comes from? With the attachment on? Or did the 3rd Doctor have that attachment as well?
No, this is the first time I've
there you go.
remember. Well, you've got to remember, I didn't watch all of the 3rd Doctor because I
Okay.
was too little for that.
But you are our expert. You've watched more than us.
Yes.
As in you've watched
First
one
time
episode.
First time I've seen the Sonic Lance. I've never seen him pull the head off and put on a new one. All sorts of rude things.
Oh,
go
and
through your head.
I love the toy tank in front of the set.
Yeah.
I've brought something to deal with it. Well, I don't think so.
Yeah. Broom, 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 broom. It's a Tonka.
Action Man, apparently.
Oh, look,
It looks great. It looks fine.
Look, thank God it's not on the screen for very long. That's
Yeah.
all I can say.
But they've used perspective really well because it is actually the robot is walking around behind and
yeah,
you know, it's not terrible.
remember, this is the 70s and this is not a fabulous budget. I think they did some amazing stuff in the time and the money that they had.
In the first 3 episodes, yes, they did.
Yeah, maybe they were rushing for the last one.
So the timer is for 300 seconds,
Yeah.
which is 5 minutes. 90 seconds after the timer has started, the countdown is now down to 90 seconds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of playing with time here. So the counter was actually 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know why.
But why did she say you've got 30 minutes when it was counting down to 3?
She goes, you've got 30 minutes. All right, we'll start. Because I think they were infiltrating Unit. Unit was infiltrating.
Okay. All
So
right.
she tells the government 30 minutes, and then she's like to them, oh, this fucking started anyway.
All right,
Who
go
cares?"
quicker.
Winters orders K1 to stop them, but the robot, already conflicted to its programming, inadvertently fires a disintegrator gun at Kettlewell, killing him. I have destroyed my creator.
I must say that is the worst overacting I've ever seen. That is the only time with the robot where I went, oh, come on. It was too much for me.
I kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty campy.
Oh, God. It was like when we were watching, what's the Genesis of the Daleks, and each death got more melodramatic. And
It wasn't
Jesus
that bad.
dying, but...
So Kettlewell decides, he's looking at the countdown, he's like, okay, I'm not going to let it happen. So he picks up a chair to destroy the machine, gets stopped.
By Winters.
No, by Jellicoe.
Oh, that's right, by slimy Jellicoe.
Then Harry stops him. Then he goes, oh, there's absolutely no way I have time to stop it, even though he was going to destroy the machine, which he could easily have done.
Yeah.
Then they go, give it a try. He goes, all right, stops it. I'm like, oh my God, so much faffing about.
And then nobody thinks to destroy it. This is what got me. But yeah.
I love when the doctor goes, Brigadier, did you turn the machine off? No, of course I didn't. Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't remember the doctor saying that.
Well, that's what I said.
Fucking kidding me?
That's what I said.
I'm pretty sure his eyes were saying it. Well, the Brigadier is a lot more about shooting things.
Wouldn't Doctor Who be so much more fun if they could swear?
Some days.
As unit forces take Winters and Jellicoe away, K1 reactivates and attacks a unit. K1 seeks out Sarah to protect her. As a result of an Oedipus complex it developed from Sarah's previous compassions, which means the robot wants to have sex with Sarah.
Oedipus wanted to have sex with his mother, didn't he?
Oedipus had sex with his mother,
Yeah.
not realising it was
Oh,
his
that's
mother.
right. Yeah. So it's something about killing your own father. I don't know.
Yeah, basically the concept of Oedipus complex is that you want to supersede your father as the male of the family, which means, and you seek out women who are like your mother because that is who you see as your mother figure, yeah.
So you are going to marry your mother?
Mm-hmm. Yep. She is single, so...
And I've heard your comedy set before multiple times.
I'm sorry.
Are you trying to set Nicchia up with your mum? You'd have to go through Adam first.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The Brigadier fires the disintegrator gun at the robot, but the blast is absorbed, causing the robot to grow to an enormous size.
I love the way this happens all the time. I remember this, where the Brigadier goes, well, we won't need the doctor because I've got a bigger gun or this, and it always backfires on him.
So why did it make him bigger if it was a disintegrator gun?
Apparently it absorbed the living metal
absorbed
which
the
was
energy.
mentioned briefly once, so they could set up the King Kong homage, absorbs the energy and makes the robot grow.
And then when they had trouble because the robot's legs kept disappearing.
Yeah.
Because it had a yellow background, I think. Was it yellow or blue? They were
It
talking
was
about.
yellow, basically because the robot was shiny. It was reflecting the screen behind it. So every time the guy moved, the reflection would change, and sometimes more of the light would reflect on his legs than other times. So every so often his
I think it was Bob
legs.
Holmes who said he just hoped everyone was looking at the robot's face.
Yeah, I definitely was because I only
was nothing
noticed it in the documentary.
Me too.
Well, apparently the director was talking to the crew and he's like, well, what's the problem? And they were like, because it was all yellow.
Oh, lovely. But they
And he's back.
they fixed it up in the DVD.
How many Doctor Who DVDs do you own, Nicchia?
Let's not talk about that.
We could do a whole episode about that. So this is my issue. They fix everything.
They could have ended it there.
They could have ended it there, or they could have had the robot go a bit insane and they have to reason with it or anything. But instead, for the last 10 minutes of the episode, they decide to go for a completely out there King Kong homage, which could have been an episode all by itself, where it requires way more special effects than they have the budget for, or the ability to do.
And it was on for longer than it needed to be on the screen. And the robot, his height kept changing in relation to the buildings, which I didn't notice as a kid, but I did notice this time. You can tell Sarah's not on a roof holding onto a chimney. That she's wrapped in some sort of blankety thing. You can see the creases of it around her.
Oh, okay. When the robot picks her up, I was like, oh, it's just so terrible.
And then he's walking along with her, and I'm thinking, there's little Dolly Sarah.
Yeah.
There's little Dolly Sarah.
They could have rewritten the episode to not require so much special effect. The episode hasn't required that many special effects up till now. They've used it well.
I actually think the fourth part is the part that lets it down.
Oh, 100%.
Because I even remember as a kid just thinking, I'll get on with it. I know it's all going to be over. And he's not, Squish's one unit guy steps on him. It just went on a bit long for me. I wanted something else.
But I mean, you say it goes on a little bit long, but it's literally the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That is that King Kong stuff. And it just feels absolutely superfluous. They could have found the robot and reasoned with it and got it to understand and shut itself down or anything like that. But there's ridiculous talk of, it's living metal and it grows. It reminds me of friggin' Power Rangers where it's like, make my monsters grow.
Yeah, I know.
And then the doctor has to go off and make some virus and...
Yeah, with Harry, who's
where he takes two test tubes with yellow liquid in, pours one into the other, and then pours the other into the other one, and then like, here we go, I've got this red liquid.
I know, which just looks like he's going to do like a car clean, like suds.
Yeah, he almost falls off the back of... What is it, Bessie?
Oh, Bessie, yeah. I know. Well, but Harry's enjoying himself driving along.
They're delivering a solution that eats away at metal, right? They're delivering it in a bucket with a metal handle, which doesn't have a very secure lid on it, in a metal car, and it's sloshing all over the place because as they're driving away, there's bubbles going all over the place. So everything should be destroyed.
There were quite a few issues. And as he's driving up, it's an open bucket. As a kid, I remember thinking that this stuff would work. But as an adult, I'm going, oh, no. Isn't this going to be like a test tube you throw at something?
Yes.
Anyway.
And they keep calling it a virus. And all I could think of was like, virus? A virus spreads. So does that mean all metal on Earth is going to be destroyed?
Or is it only destroys living metal?
No, because it destroys because he gets the metal bar in the lab and he puts it on there and he goes, it works.
Maybe that was living metal as well.
Because Harry just goes, here you go, will that do? He's like, yeah, that'll do. They don't test to see if it's living metal, that's for sure.
It's living metal, it has its own rights too.
Yeah. And also, the robot is sentient in some way. It feels quite against the Doctor or his code to just destroy it, although it has become insane. So, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, he doesn't try talking to the robot.
No. And he does in other episodes of things, but in this one, it's just like, that's it, get rid of it.
And the effects when it disappears are crazy. As they regroup back at unit headquarters, Sarah is saddened by the loss of K1. The Doctor offers to cheer her up with a trip in the TARDIS. Now, is this the first instance of, would you like a jelly baby?
No.
Oh.
So the second Doctor offered jelly babies.
Oh, okay.
Not very often, in 2 episodes. But this was the first time for the fourth Doctor who became synonymous with her.
Okay. Oh.
I had no idea
That's
that Patrick Troughton, who was very much Tom Baker-ish, he was like the cosmic hobo, and he would have the jelly babies. But I love the way Sarah takes the jelly baby and they smile at each other. And then Harry comes in and he offers him one, and Harry's eating it, and then he tells him that the TARDIS won't go anywhere, and the Doctor gets cranky and takes the half a jelly baby off.
Puts it back in.
The packet.
Yeah, contaminating the entire batch. I want to throw that out.
Who the hell wants Harry germs? Yucky.
I think it's funny because Sarah takes one, puts it in her mouth, and the sound effect they use makes it sound like a hard candy or something.
Well, and I wonder if it is, they like...
No, because he bites it. He bites it off. Because that's what I thought. I was like, are they harder than what we know of? And then Harry bites the head off, and I was like, no, mate, there must be...
The white powder ones can be quite hard when you first bite into them. I don't know.
Bites the head off, and all the other ones in the packet are watching going,
That's why the Doctor throws the body back in, so they could all be like, oh, God, what happened to you?
Never do anything wrong here. That wonderful moment between the Doctor and Sarah when you can see they've solidified that they're buddies and off they go, and that's the jelly baby and the big smile.
And then they play a very funny prank on Harry by kidnapping him.
Well, Sarah's kind of going, Doctor, don't.
And the Doctor's like, why don't you check it out? Yeah. We're going to leave with you in it, you motherfucker.
Well, the first Doctor kidnapped his first companion.
The Doctor has a history of kidnapping people, unfortunately.
And, of course, we've seen Harry's first... when he first comes out of the TARDIS in the Ark in Space.
But he goes in, he's just like, oh, I say.
Yeah.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, but I just love Harry. Oh, old girl. Oh, I say.
I thought he was going to say, it's bigger on the inside.
No, that's what she said.
Yeah.
The TARDIS dematerializes just as the Brigadier arrives and frets about letting Buckingham Palace know that their guests will be late for a celebratory dinner.
And that was always the way. The Doctor never hung around for the aftermath, Even when he was earthbound, he'd always have something better to do.
Well, it seems strange that the Queen wants to have dinner with the Doctor when we know that one of the Queens created Torchwood to capture the Doctor.
Well, that's true, although in the Titanic episode, the Queen's running out going, "Thank you, Doctor," when he stops, so she obviously knows about him. I liked that. This is the first time we ever hear the Brigadier's middle name. Never heard it before.
All right.
It is the last time we see the Brigadier as a regular character. Last time we go to the Doctor's lab, and the last time we see Benton as a regular character as well. So it's kind of the end of an era, and I think from reading some stuff, John Pertwee, when Jo Grant left, who is Katie Manning, when she left, and then he knew that, Nicholas Courtney, the Brigadier, was going, and John...
Yeah, a lot of people
A lot of
leaving.
them were going,
yeah.
and I think he liked to have familiarity around him, and... I don't think he was being offered other roles, and so it was time for him to go. But at the same time that they were shooting Robot, they were shooting his final episode, which is Planet of the Spiders.
You would think that they would have filmed that like the year before.
Yeah, so Sarah was running, and the Brigadier and Benton were running between two different productions, so with two different doctors.
And Elizabeth Sladen said she works better with Tom Baker than she did with...
Yeah, she said
they just work in similar ways.
Yeah, she said she liked John, but she and Tom, I think they did more ad-libbing and sort of worked off each other.
Which, as we know from those behind-the-scenes extras, Tom Baker's like, well, I only read my own bits. I didn't read anyone else's bits. I wanted to be surprised. It wasn't because I was lazy. Oh, God, no.
I really like the way that I think it's Bob Holmes says that Tom Baker was one of those guys that you would say to him, "Oh, it's a nice morning, isn't it?" And he'd go, "Is it? Yes, it is. Yeah. Yes, it is." Yeah. So he was really like his character, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, and you can see the start of that character in this episode. And I can understand why he's beloved.
Oh, yeah, and he was working on a building site.
They said that he got announced as the Doctor and went back to the building site the next day. Yeah. And then went into a bank as an actor, and they said, "Oh, well, we'll give you all this money." Yeah. Whereas today, actors cannot get a loan from the bank, that's for sure.
Well, I think when in those days, if you went in and said, "I'm the next Doctor," they went, "Well, you're going to have a..." Because I didn't realise that this was the heyday of the BBC. This was the Goodies and Porridge with one of the two Ronnies. Oh, and Jimmy Savile, which there you go.
Yeah, I saw that.
Jim will
they
fix
mentioned
it.
that show, and
yes,
I was like,
will.
"Oh, that has not aged well." Anyway, that's the end of the episode. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to mention about Robot?
No, I was really excited to watch it again, and I have such a clear memory of where I was, what I was doing, even our lounge room when I was watching it, and how excited I was by this new curly-headed, bug-eyed, big smile guy. So, yeah. I loved watching it again. It was really good.
Beck, do you have anything you want to say about the episode?
Yeah, I just remember the memory of what my bed looked like when I was watching it.
If you're going to be a sarcastic bitch, you can go now.
I watched it the first time in my living room and the second time on my bed.
Screw you both. I was only like 10 or something.
I was only 15, so it's okay.
Oh, that's right. I'm actually just giving them all the finger, if you could see.
All right, well, let's get to the scores. Nichia.
There are plot holes.
There are.
I see this. I would have to give it... it's hard because I've got such a cherished childhood memory of this episode, and it's Tom Baker. But I will have to go that it's a 3.5 from me.
Okay, all right.
I'd love to go 4, but the plot holes are a bit too much. So the extra half is just the wonderful memories I have.
Yeah, for me, it didn't drag like some of the other classic episodes we've watched. I think 4 episodes for the classic series is a good amount, unless you really have something you need to say. Like, don't make it 12 episodes and then pad the shit out of it. But there's a lot of stuff I like about this episode. Like we mentioned, the plot holes and the CGI in that last 10 minutes. That is such a small amount of time to make so special effects heavy and then not have the budget to be able to do it. And there was no point for doing it. Look, I can't give it less than a 3 because I know that there's going to be other episodes that are going to shit me more.
Oh, God, yeah.
That are going to be full of padding, that are going to have no reason to be 12 episodes or whatever. But I also can't give it more than a 3 because, what I like is countered by the fact that there are such plot holes. And looking at it, obviously with a modern sensibility of, well, if you're going to have a big twist at the end, write the episodes so that it supports the twist at the end. Don't write it as a screenwriter where you're throwing us, the viewer, off the track when the character is acting outside of what we later know about them. Yeah. So, it's going to be a 3 from me.
I can see that.
Beck.
I'd probably have to go with Adam on a 3. In comparison to the other episode that I watched, I can't remember which one it was. It was I think it was Ark in Space I watched.
I think you watched parts of some of the episodes. You don't think you watched all of them.
No.
So you wouldn't have seen the We're in.
No. It was the one where they were like
The
in this
slug.
hospital sort of thing.
Oh, they were in an ark.
Oh, New Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that makes it a 3 for me was, even though for a classic episode serial 4 is a good number, I still think it could have been condensed more. Like, I don't think it really needed to be 4 episodes.
Could have been 3, you think?
Yeah.
But in comparison to the other Tom Baker episodes that I was watching, he seemed a lot more fun and easygoing when he first regenerated. But I was really surprised at just how like goofy and sort of everything in this episode, and I was actually laughing for quite a fair bit of it.
I remember you telling me that you watched it and you were laughing, and I thought I think that's what they really wanted to get out of it.
Yeah. I'm also giving this a 3 because I feel like I'm going to use this as the
Median?
Yeah, the median. I'm going to use this episode to compare other classic episodes to whether it's going to be better or worse. Because I feel like this is pretty standard, or what the standard should have been for the classic episodes, you know.
So it's not your first introduction to Tom Baker, obviously, but it is his first episode.
It is his first episode.
What did you think of that as his first episode? Did it give you the essence of who he was straight away, or did you feel like you still needed to know more?
Well, having watched those other 2 episodes, I feel like I definitely understand why he was around for so long and why he was so beloved and why, this is someone that, guys, a bit of a joker, you've all got a jokey friend that you can go down to the pub and have a drink with. And also someone that kids would be like, oh, he's so funny. He's like a vaudeville clown that you get to a kid's party.
Yeah, he's like your hilarious uncle, isn't he?
Yeah.
I haven't got a hilarious uncle. I'm sorry to my uncles.
I'm your hilarious uncle.
Fuck.
I had an hilarious uncle, but he's passed away now. But he was hilarious. But yeah, what did you?
Welcome back to our death.
What did you?
Tom Baker's in his 70s, so.
He's in his 80s now, isn't he?
Oh, is he? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Sadly.
David Attenborough's in his 90s, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe.
Don't jinx it.
Maybe they'll both get a letter from the Queen.
I hope so.
If she lasts that long, she's 93.
Oh God.
So how about?
She's just waiting for a letter from herself.
How about you, Beck? What did you get an essence of who he was? Did it make you think I want to see more of this doctor?
For the first episode, yeah. I didn't really get the same sort of effect with the other episode that I watched, because I felt like they were just a tad bit different with his character. So obviously his character, how long was he in? For 7 years?
7 years.
Obviously that character development is going to naturally happen because people do not stay the same person for 7 years, even when they're acting. Like, the character develops. But for the first episode, yeah, I liked it. I'd go watch more. Maybe not 12 episode serial more, but if there's other 4 episode or...
I don't remember if there's been any 3, but there's 1 or 2 that are just 2. But I thought most of them were about 4. I mean, and
Hopefully.
I'm thinking back as a kid, but most of them seemed to be about 4. It was always harder when they were 6, because you knew that you would have to wait, because it was only on Monday to Thursday, and then you'd have to wait till the next week. So you liked it when it was finished in the week. You didn't like.
So you think they would have written a lot more 5-episode ones then?
Yeah,
so it could cover the week and then next week.
Well, the 4 episodes were good because the ABC only showed it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Right,
Friday was a gardening show with Alan Scheel, who used to whistle when he spoke.
And it had way less Cybermen.
A lot less Cybermen, but a lot more caterpillars, bugs, and snails.
See what I've put over here are petunias. They are the only flower I don't want to exterminate.
Exterminate. The daffodils have all been crushed.
If your plants aren't growing, try adding some blood and bone mulch.
From humans.
Or if you're a Dalek, you can use the goopy slime that we use to subsist on. It also works for plants. All right, that's our episode. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah,
for
thank
joining
you.
us.
And thank you for suggesting this one to you and the fans, because it was so nice to watch it again.
Join us on our Facebook page, where you'll be able to see polls about what episodes we're going to do in the future. We also tend to put them on Twitter as well, but we don't seem to get many people responding on Twitter. So.
No, but it'd be really nice. Is there any way that we can get up a poll when this comes out to get people's rating, 1 to 5 of this one?
Yeah, we want to see what people think. If you've watched the episode, then that would be great.
Yeah, if I hadn't watched it and I just remembered it from a kid, I would have given it a 5 because I just loved it. So it was good to watch it.
And if I hadn't watched it and I remembered it from when I was a kid, I would have been like, I don't know anything about the episode.
Why you people have to be so ageist all the time?
I'm not being ageist. There's shows I watched when I was a kid that you probably didn't watch.
Oh, no.
Gargoyles we were talking about yesterday.
Well, yeah, but see, I had kids around your age.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You had seen Gargoyles because you're, yeah.
You didn't have kids around Adam's age.
Well, how old's Adam? Like, 20-something? Oh, okay.
I'm 36.
No, not around your age,
Yeah.
sorry.
Your daughter's the same age as me.
Oh, that's true. All right. I keep forgetting. I think Adam's, like, younger than he is. Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I thought
Thank
that
you.
too.
Yeah. No, it's just the way you act.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Sick burn.
I'm kidding.
I will never die.
I'm going to rush you to the birds unit now for that one. No,
okay.
you look younger.
Nicchia, would you like to plug your
Yes, I will
Facebook
just
page?
plug my Nicchia Shit Comedy Facebook page. Any gigs I have will be on there.
As always, you can follow Adam O'Sullivan Comedian on Facebook and visit thenerdinfinite.com. Also, All In last Friday of every month. It's great free comedy at All In Brewing at Banyo. Please check it out.
And bring your dog and
Doggos,
have
yep.
fun.
D4WH is on Facebook. Give a page a like for updates and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at D4WHpod. We'll post questions and polls and would love your input and feedback. Rate and review us on iTunes, recommend us on Facebook, and follow us on Podbean. We are also now available on Spotify and Stitcher. Tell your friends about us, and if you see someone on the street wearing a Doctor Who shirt, politely go up to them and suggest our podcast. Do we have a suggestion?
No.
I
Awesome.
do.
Fantastic.
So do you want one of us to pick an object, one of us
Sure.
a location?
Okay, the location is, this is really hard, Banyo.
Okay, Banyo, and the object is...
Object.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
If only there was a room of objects that could be some sort of inspiration.
Okay, a glass.
A glass?
Yeah.
Get the word out. You might be in Banyo glassing someone because he said something bad against D4WH, and that's your favorite podcast, and you're like, hey, do you want to fight? He says, yeah, I want to fight. Like, yeah. And then after you've glassed him and you both go to the hospital, you get arrested, you end up in the same prison cell, and you get to talking, and hey, turns out he likes Doctor Who too. So you listen to the podcast, and he's like, yeah, nah, it's still shit. And then that makes you realise, yeah, nah, it is shit, isn't it?
Oh,
and
never.
you guys become best friends. And then later on, you go to the pub together, talking about how D4WH is shit. And then there's a group of people there who are like, nah, D4WH is great. And the cycle continues.
Well, the plot hole there is that you're in prison and then
Yeah.
you just go down to the pub later on.
In a few years.
That's what I want to know is why does the robot go to the prison with Kettlewell when he knows that he's working with D4WH?
What I want to know is who is it that said D4WH is shit? Because I'm going to glass the bastard.
Nobody would ever say that.
I would think not.
Except our listeners.
I wouldn't actually ever glass anyone. I don't recommend glassing people,
No.
by the way.
Surprisingly, nobody who is sane ever suggests glassing someone.
I shouldn't have picked glass.
The Surgeon General suggests that you should glass at least 2 or 3 people every week
To keep your sanity.
to keep your sanity. Have a wonderful Marlboro cigarette, glass someone, and then go home and be disrespectful to your wife.
Yes, and then drink 16 gallons of rum.
This was the advice from the 50s.
If she's not looking pretty enough,
Oh my God.
have an affair with your secretary.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I was looking at old ads and they're all so sexist. It's so terrible.
They're terrible. The cigarette one that says, blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere is terrible.
But there's a
That could be a double entendre.
Yes.
But there's a bunch of fast food ads from like the 40s and 50s where it's like, give the wife and mother a night off. Yeah. And they're like, oh, how sexist is that? But then it's like, yeah, fast food restaurants still do that.
Yeah, they do.
They still have that like, give the,
Yeah.
some of them at least have like, give whoever cooks a night off. But it's still usually, especially around Mother's Day,
Yeah.
give mum a night off.
Give mum a night off.
Until next time, keep searching the skies for the doctor.
Goodbye.
Bye.
This has been a production of The Nerd Infinite. And then the sound of dragons spitting fire and stuff. What? Why are you looking at me like that?